Okay, guys. Looks like we're back again with Flawless Finance going live with the CEO, episode 8. I'm back again with another episode of the stream. We talk about all sorts of stuff on the stream. We talk about sports, basketball, boxing, football, UFC, MMA, business, economics, politics, in addition to a wide range of other topics. And it looks like today, I'm going to start off by, we're going to be talking about in the NBA, who has had the best run? Now, this doesn't mean the best player of all time. This doesn't mean won the most championships. Doesn't mean the most MVPs. Who has had the best run? Now, when I say that, one of the first names that come to my mind is James "Fear the Beard" Harden. Right? Now, James Harden was a player who spent most of his career at shooting guard. Most of his career was a two guard. Was drafted by the OKC in 2009. Spent his rookie contract there, and after 3 seasons was traded to Houston. And at Houston, this is where he would really go on to having this insane, legendary run where offensively it felt like he couldn't be stopped. Now, James Harden never was able to get over the line at the Houston Rockets and was never able to win, that championship. But he tried, and he got close. And an example of me saying, this MVP run he was on, he finished top 3 in MVP rankings 5 times. He won the MVP once, but was top 3 in MVP voting 5 times. I think that goes to say, everything that I need to say. Because that is insane. It doesn't happen often. And when you can get a player like this who is just such a dynamic scorer and can contribute, more than contribute, can really essentially carry a team's offense. And he was doing that at Houston, You would see, sometimes he would have a superstar alongside with him for a short period, but that wasn't never long-lived. I can never say Houston built a super team around him. It was more or less James Harden and role players, or James Harden plus another superstar and role players. The first superstar they brought in to help James Harden was Dwight Howard. And this was Dwight Howard coming off of his time at the Lakers where, to be honest, looking back on the numbers, it was quite productive for him. Let's not pretend like it wasn't. Let's adjust the mic here. But was quite productive. I'm sure he averaged a double-double at the Lakers. But ultimately, I think the vibe was weird, and Kobe and him didn't really vibe. And really, for that relationship to work a long time with the Lakers, at that time, Dwight Howard would have had to get on with Dwight. Because if they're willing to get rid of Shaq for Kobe, then they'll get rid of Dwight. And even though Dwight Howard's a player I really liked, and I'm sure in one of these streams, one of these days, we'll talk about Dwight Howard, because I think a player who is criminally underrated. And because he came at a period when LeBron was clearly the NBA's biggest superstar, I think he kind of got forgotten, Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard kind of got forgotten about because he wasn't playing for the Miami Heat. He was spending his time at the Orlando Magic, which typically are a smaller franchise compared to the other teams in the West. But yeah, he had a very interesting career. And yeah, like I said, we'll get back to Dwight Howard at another time, but just looking here, we're seeing James Harden for 3 seasons in a row averaged over 30 points a game. Not many people will live to see those sorts of numbers. Again, I think we'll struggle to see another player like this on his own sort of average over 30 points a game and win an MVP and carry his team to the playoffs pretty much every year. There may have been a year or two if he's missed it, but I don't think so. I think every year he was getting to the playoffs with Houston. I think an example, like I said, the first example was Dwight Howard at the Rockets. Then after that, I want to say they brought in Chris Paul, who they kind of fall off. But yeah, unfortunate for James Harden to never be able to win a ring with Houston, but a hell of a player that 100% goes down in the Hall of Fame. We're looking at 30.4, 36.1 and 34.3 points per game. So 30 points, 36 points, 34 points, and then nine assists, 8 assists, 9 assists, 7 assists, 7 assists. It's pretty impressive. You can't you can't say, oh well, he's not passing the ball. He's getting a substantial amount of assists per game, and also isn't a complete negative on the offense. He was a somewhat respectable, rebounding guard at Houston, and typically was throughout most of his career at Houston. I think nowadays where we see James Harden, and this isn't, I'm talking about him now. He seems like a player who's definitely had injuries, definitely has had lost that burst of pace that he did have, and when he did have that, he would bring guards out, bring them out into deep waters, take them dancing, and breeze past them, and there was nothing better than that. Seeing that from James Harden, I know if I'm out and I'm doing something, and maybe it's like after a party, and I'm either at home late or I'm in my car at night, you could catch me watching some James Harden ISO highlights. Dude is the ISO god, and undoubtedly had one of the greatest runs that we've seen in the NBA. One of the greatest offensive runs we've seen, without a shadow of a doubt. And in the style that he done it too, of course, he was one of the first superstars to really bring in foul baiting, and you would see him shooting, over 10 free throws a night, and it's quite crazy actually to be shooting over 10 free throws a night at times. But he would find himself doing that. He would find himself in that situation where he's got the ball so much, and the refs really were. This was probably the softest the NBA had ever been around this time, if not now, but back then definitely, because he would be taking a shot, and even if he fell over, the refs calling it for a foul. Every time. So he would be throwing, well over 10 free throws a game. I remember many games where he was like I said, well over 10. And that obviously, but you need to take those shots. It's okay getting the free throws. You need to make them, and obviously that will of course contribute to those huge numbers, those 30 plus points